Welcome, Jason, to the show, man. You're the man in Vegas, and you're the man in Vegas with luxury rentals when it comes to Airbnbs. And I'm just happy to have you on the show to talk about luxury rentals, luxury Airbnbs, investing out of states with luxury as well, and just everything to do with helping other people in the space understand how they can actually make more money, even realtors, how they can make more money and things like that. Really just excited just to talk shop.
Yeah, let's do it. I appreciate you having me on here. And you nailed it. Those are the things that I do now. But yeah, I'm a big guy in the short-term rental space. I'm addicted to it. We've done pretty well.
Yeah,
And I'm just curious to see how far we could take it.
for sure, man. And so what was your start into luxury rentals? How'd you get started in that?
So I was doing long-term rentals here in Henderson. I'm a big Henderson guy, moved here from New York and just saw an opportunity with regular rental properties. And then somebody introduced me to the short-term rental side of it. And people were always asking me, do you have a really nice house? We're coming for a weekend. We got a bachelor party. We got this, we got that. And I just started building them out one by one, just doing normal houses. And then as time went on, I just went a little bit bigger and bigger. And then we built the biggest one here in the city. It's a 9,000 square foot mansion. And it's actually there's a, I can't release it yet, but there's a TV show being filmed in it right now. So that'll be released in a month. And yeah, it just took a life of its own. We're excited to build out the biggest luxury rentals that the city's ever seen.
That's awesome. And that sounds like a great goal. I feel like there's a demand for it. It's Las Vegas and people are always coming in for bachelor parties and things like that. With that, do you think what kind of guests do you get in your short-term rentals that might be different than your traditional guests that come in for a regular rental that maybe has a 2-3 bedroom?
Yes, it's a great question. So when we first started, I thought it was going to be like all strip people. I thought it was going to be all people that parties and that kind of thing, but it's not. It's a lot of families, believe it or not. We get a ton of family reunions, and then we get like speaking events, like people will hold masterminds at our house. They'll bring in 8 people and they'll do like a workshop at our houses, which is great because those people don't give you any problems. And so it's hard to classify what type of people are going to come to your house because Vegas is so unique. We get basketball teams. We've had professional athletes stay. We have people who want to shoot TV shows in our houses. So it's all different.
Yeah, that's cool. And a lot of people just thinking, oh, big houses, luxury houses, people are going to throw ragers there. That's the first thing that people think of. People are going to trash your house. They got a nice pool. How can you not party in that house? How do you avoid those kind of situations from happening?
Good question. You have to vet these guests out. So we put throughout the listing when you go to book it that parties are not allowed. We want people to have fun, obviously. And people do throw parties. It's just the nature of the beast. So it's just taming it. We have the noise meters up. We have cameras up in the front to make sure that 50 people just aren't rolling up to the house, throwing a raging party. So that's a whole nother beast. That's really the hardest part about the short-term rental business is like sustaining it. It's setting it up and getting it really nice is easy, but sustaining it, making sure you're not getting fined and making sure that you're not getting in trouble, that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah. And I experience that in Joshua Tree all the time, constantly get flagged. The locals hate short-term rentals, so they'll do anything to
Right.
pretty much get rid of them. So I totally understand that. And I think same thing goes with Vegas. You're going up against the casinos, right? From my understanding. So
Yep.
how does that landscape play out in Vegas with the luxury rentals? Are there a lot of pushback from hotels? And how does that all work?
So there isn't pushback from the hotels like directly. They definitely complain to the city about it, but I don't know why they're complaining because the hotels are sold out every weekend here. So if you want more people to come and visit the city, you have to house these people. And so they should be thanking people like us, bringing in bigger groups to go to the strip so they could spend money. But yeah, it's like a catch-22. They're going to complain either way about it. But we just abide by the rules that the city's given us and we just rock and roll.
Yeah, for sure. And for the people that want to get started in Airbnbs in Las Vegas, do you recommend that they do that, or do you think that it's a market you should avoid?
I've done a lot of research, and the numbers that we pull in on our properties are way higher than a lot of other cities. So, like for example, like a $450,000 house here with a pool can do about 10, 12 grand a month. And I know properties in Florida that are $1 million that don't bring in 10, 12 grand a month. So that's the game that you're playing here, is where you're buying the real estate that's going to bring in a lot of revenue. So I operate in Henderson, and Henderson has rules. There's an ordinance that we have to abide by, and you have to get a license. And so they only allow 250 licenses in all of city of Henderson. So it's not a saturated market. I see a lot of people that go by, like Joshua Tree is becoming saturated. And so that's hurting everybody's numbers. Ours is totally regulated. So there's not 5,000 of these things in our city. So we see a nice, even income bringing in every single month, every single year.
Yeah, that's one thing a lot of people don't talk about is, and I see this happening with a lot of people that I work with, that I consult with. They're so scared of the regulations. And I always tell them regulations just mean that there's more of a barrier of entry for other people to get in.
So true. So true. And I'm happy. I'm happy there's rules, because in the rest of the city of Las Vegas, there's no rules. And so people are just freeballing it. They're getting in trouble. They're getting fined. There's no like set structure. And so people are investing in this. And if they do put the rules in, which they're going to, then I think it's going to be very helpful. So just do it the right way, and you won't have any problems.
Exactly. And that's the same thing that's happening in Joshua Tree. They're capping the amount of rentals that are allowed. And that's good for the supply, right? Because when there's low supply and you're one of the few that are there, you're pretty much game, while other people can't even get in the game. So it sets you apart a little bit.
I'll hate on Joshua Tree a little bit, because
Go
I
for
think
it.
it's like I feel like it's like one of the most talked about short-term rental markets, right, in the country. And I've been to Joshua Tree, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's nothing special, right?
Yeah.
It's in California, like the highest freaking tax bracket in the world. And I'm like, there's not much to do here. So I've had opportunities to invest in Joshua Tree, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm just not like the short-term rentals there. They're all like lower class. They're not like high level, but there's just not much to do there. So I'm like, for how long are people going to go to Joshua Tree? Like the Las Vegas Strip, like in comparison, it's not going. It's like totally different. So I'm just curious of the fascination of why everybody's investing in Joshua Tree.
You know what's funny? I had the same thing that you had when I first started investing in Joshua Tree. I'm like, why do people even want to come here? I'm just following what everyone else is doing. It was stupid. You shouldn't do that. But I realized that there is a demand for being remote and being away from people. And LA's 70% of the traffic that goes to Joshua Tree is from LA. So these people are bunched up like sardines in all these different areas, and they're just sick of it. They just want to get away. They want to go somewhere that they have their own space and they have peace and quiet, which is the opposite of Vegas. When people are
Right.
going to Vegas, I want to freaking party.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
I want to get fucked up and take drugs. Like, and it's funny because people come to Joshua Tree to take drugs, but it's different kinds of drugs.
It's more
Like,
right.
like you won't find cocaine in a Joshua Tree property. Maybe if you want to get fucking hyped, I don't know who does, but you do find a lot of shrooms, a lot of
It's like a nature
psychedelics.
place, right?
Yeah, you're in nature. You got these weird trees with these weird lines. It's part of the experience. People have been going there for ages, taking drugs and getting away. And quite frankly, we doubled down on that. We got a shroom room in one of our properties. It's a luxury rental,
No
and
way.
it's polarizing. People, it's
Wow.
literally a separate room for people to take shrooms in, and our market loves it. So
Wow.
people nonstop book that place. And so I realized that the properties that do well are actually the luxury properties. The ones that are very high end and the ones that are remote.
What is like a luxury there? What's the purchase price, and what does it bring in a night in a month?
Yeah, currently right now you could potentially get, let's say, $1 million, beyond $1 million, maybe like 1.2. You can find something really nice, remote with a view. You can even do like 1.5, but those properties are probably going to be bringing in 900 ADR, so 1,000 maybe. So you're looking at even at 60%, you're looking at six figures easy.
Yeah.
So I can't do the math right now in my head, but my friend right now, my business partner, so he's doing a couple deals without me, and he's doing development deals, pretty much like a rehab,
Okay.
but he takes these houses that are like very like a campground that was the old campground, and he's totally revamping it, putting movie theater outside, putting like a pool, movie theater, seating areas, hot tub, sauna, like anything you can think of, cold plunge, pickleball, tennis court, like whatever you can think of, he's doing a climbing wall. So it's like these properties, imagine this is a lot that you can just build whatever you
Whatever you
want.
want, right?
You know what I mean? So your imagination goes wild because you have all this space and you could build. It's attraction. It's what people go there for. So you can build that attraction. You build your own Vegas, pretty much.
That's crazy. Yeah, maybe I got to give it another try and like really experience it before I keep hating on it. But I'm just like, I don't know. I'm from New York, so it's like very
Yeah.
different for me to, hey, like all these people will just want to go in the middle of nowhere and park themselves for a weekend and have fun.
Yeah, it's funny. Vegas is a whole different story, right? Going back to that, what brings people out to Vegas other than the strip?
A lot of things now. We're like a full sports town all of a
Mhm.
sudden. Like the past 4 or
Mhm.
5 years, we got the hockey team, we got the football team. That's huge. So on football weekends, and then the fight weekends. But my properties are in Henderson, so we have the lake. We have Lake Mead. That's really popular. We have a lot of youth sports teams that come and visit, and they want their basketball programs or soccer or hockey, whatever. Their families rent those houses out. So it's unique now. It's not just all old school gambling, old school partying. It's families are coming here and using these properties.
Yeah, and that's beyond what people think. People think, oh, Vegas is only just to throw down and party, which there is that, but there's also a lot of nature there as well.
Yeah, there is. And it's fun. It's just a fun place to come visit. And I was hooked when I was younger, and when I was 21, I was going out doing the party scene, but now I enjoy it just as much being older, and I don't really go out that much anymore, but I do go to a lot of the events, the shows, and it's awesome.
Yeah, concerts, everything,
Yeah,
EDC
everything.
there.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
city's just exploding and it's getting better and better every year, which is great.
without the taxes of California. So you got
Yeah,
a
that
lot of Californians flocking there.
I know, man. I think it's one of the best places to invest because of that reason.
Yeah. And with these properties, when you determine these properties, do you have a customer avatar that you target with properties, or is it more so just open to whoever?
It's just open. I call it over theming. Once you over theme your property, like if you're like, all right, I'm going after, I always use the Barbie example. If I build out a Barbie house, like you're just limiting your pool very small. We just make our houses really as nice as we can make them. The pictures pop, and the place actually looks like the pictures. It's clean, and when people come, they're just very happy.
Yeah. And do you do construction? Do you do rehabs, or do you take properties already pretty much turnkey?
I hate construction. So if I'm doing a bigger project, which I did the past 2 years, I partner with somebody who's very good at construction. My partner Tyler is a wizard, and so he builds them out for us, and then I will manage it.
Nice. So you're focused more on the managing piece.
Yeah, I partner with a property management company because when you scale out, you can't do it all yourself. So my what I'm good at is finding them. I'm really good at finding these deals now across the country. I've used kind of my network, and now with the social media presence, people are bringing me deals, which is awesome. I
Yeah.
love doing the creative financing. I bought 5 deals this year using creative finance. So that's what I'm good at.
For sure. Why not just stick to what you're good at and let
Yep,
other people do the stuff that, they're good at? And that's how you really scale, is to delegate.
exactly. That's what
Yeah,
I do.
100%. So with acquiring deals, what do you look for? What's your criteria? Like, is there a certain cash on cash return that you look for? Cash flow? Like, what's your strategy?
So you always want to try to get into some equity right away. And if we don't, then I'm like weary on it. I never go into it thinking that it could only be a short-term rental. So if I look at a deal, I say, let's just say the mortgage is $2,000 a month. I need to bring in at least 3,000 a month for a long-term rental on that. And then I try to double it with a short-term rental. So that'll be like the minimum. I have properties that kind of are like that. And then I have some that are 3x or 4x of the mortgage.
Got it. And do you know what kind of numbers you're pulling on your Las Vegas properties?
Yeah, my big one, I'll put my big one up against anyone. We bought it for 1.4. We put around 250 into it. Our mortgage is around 10. We're bringing in very consistently 35 to 50,000 a month.
35 to 50. Okay. And what's the net on that?
So you do 35,000 minus 10, around 25 to 30,000 profit a month on that
Got
big
it.
one.
Is there other expenses that are involved in that 10,000, or is that just the mortgage?
That's the mortgage. So what we're doing now with that, we kind of midterm rental that big one. So
Mhm.
those numbers are based on net profit. The 10,000 was everything included, and then the tenant, they're renting it out for a year, and they're filming and doing whatever they got to do in there, and so that one's my best profitable one.
Nice. No, those numbers make sense.
Yes, that
Yeah.
one makes sense. Yeah, when that was just a unique one, like there was just nothing like it. We just went huge, and we marketed it to everyone. Everybody knows about that house now. People want to use it. And this TV production company approached us and was like, "Hey, can we film in it?" And I said, "Sure, you could do whatever you want,
As long
but
as you give
you
me the
got
money, huh?
as long as the payment is fair." And it was fair.
Yep. And with that, why do you think that property does better than everything else?
If you saw I'll let you look it up. It's a 956 San Gabriel in Henderson. It's just insane. It has two houses on one property. Has a full basement. Has a basketball court, beach volleyball court, pool. It's huge. It's a huge house. You could literally fit probably 100 people in there and be totally okay. It's on almost a full acre, and it just looks like it's its own hotel. And so when people
That's
go
awesome.
there, we have a gym in there. Like when people go to this house, they don't leave.
There's no need to leave.
There's no need to leave. We have the chefs on site if they want that, the car, whatever you need, we bring to them, and they let it
Yeah,
rip.
concierge services, all that.
Yep.
Do all your properties have those additional upsells?
Yeah, they do. They do. We offer all these things. Not as many people use it, but some people do. They want the catering done, and so we set it all up for them.
What's the most profitable upsell that you do?
Definitely the shit. It's not like we don't profit much. If we bring in a chef, I'm a little uncomfortable charging like $1,000 extra just to call a chef. You can go call your own chef off Yelp. So we just do it just to add like an extra perk. So I wouldn't say a lot of these are profitable. And I think a lot of people try to do that, but we'll offer, look, here's the top places to go. We don't ask really for kickbacks on those places. We just provide it to them.
Got it. So you focus on making the best experience possible, and you're not looking to make any extra money on those additional things. So you already make the money on the rental.
Yeah, because I found like once you start pushing people towards places, they get, oh, this guy's like salesy. And I don't want to be like that. I hate being salesy when you don't need to be. Like, here's the three. If you want to go book a boat, here's the boat. We don't really keep track of how many times that boat is booked or not. I'd rather focus more time of buying more real estate than do that.
100%. And that oasis in that mansion, that'd be an awesome replication in Joshua Tree.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so like I have it, my second biggest one is like 7 minutes from the strip. And that one's booked out like all year. It's like there's no free days in that one. but it's like the best location. Like it's 7 minutes to the strip. So you have a nice big house with a sick pool, and then you could take a 7 minute Uber ride to the strip. And so the location on that one is tremendous. But that's all this is. If you have a good location, if you have a place of a location near a good touristy thing, then it's going to do well. And it's really not that hard of a business. The thing where I see people fail is they force it. So they look on Airbnb and there's 10 on one street and they're like, oh, we're going to build a bigger and better one than that one. And then those other 10. And I'm like, yeah, that's not the right thing to do, because people won't spend the extra when they could just book 9 other ones that are a little cheaper.
Yeah. And price is one of the most sensitive things for a guest. It's the number one indicator of
Definitely.
a guest will book.
Yeah, it's the number one thing in anything in life. Like, how much does it cost? So
Exactly.
we found that people are willing to spend a little extra, but we also make it affordable. We
That's why
want,
you're booked up all year
yeah,
round.
we want the house booked. We want people coming back. And yeah, maybe we can make $200-300 more a night. Instead of getting 27 nights booked, we get 16 to 18. But no, we want more and more people in there and telling other people about their experience. That's important.
100%. What I realized is if you charge a really high amount and you deliver a low experience based on their expectations, because their expectations are high when they pay a lot of money.
Yep.
So with your properties, if you overcharge and you can't deliver on that, then you get sad guests that are potentially angry and leave you a bad review. Or
it's just like when you book a really nice hotel, right? And you get there, you're like, this place isn't worth $700 a night. What was I thinking? It's the same thing. It's the same process goes through people when what we do that I think is really cool is we're very hands off. And so with these big properties, we give them the code, they go in. There's no like tour, there's no an orientation of the rules and how the house works. We just let you go and go in and go start having fun. And we've gotten a lot of good feedback on that, where people are like, oh, when we book houses like this, the owner's there and he's reading us the riot act of how to use everything. I'm like, nah, we put the QR codes up of everything in the house. This is how you operate. If you have any questions, you can message in and we'll help you.
I think that's one of the key things with the guests is they feel as though they're trusted. And that, like, you automatically trust them. You're going to be okay. I'm not worried. And you just give them that trust. So it feels like they're responsible for that. And they feel more connected to you and they don't want to screw your house.
Yep.
So I think that in a sense does you more good than harm.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So with this model that you're doing, you're looking to replicate this model in other markets.
Yes.
What's the plan there?
With our new real estate market, I call it, things are very different. I think we're going to see a lot of people who bought luxury that maybe went a little over their head. I think there's going to be a lot of creative financing opportunities if you know how to structure these deals and because you're really buying a business. And so maybe people bought a bigger luxury short-term rental. They just don't know how to do it, or they quickly just went underwater. I think there's going to be some good opportunities for me to take over that either as a consultant or just take it off their hands. I'm working on one in Florida, very similar. They bought this not really nice house in Tampa, and the money isn't what they thought it was going to be. And so I'm like, look, I'm willing to take it over from you. I know how to do it. I could do it. No offense. I could do it better than you. This is what I do all day. And you're not a full-time investor. And it clicks for them. They're like, okay, let's get back to doing whatever I was doing and let the professionals handle it. So that's what I'm aiming towards now.
And that's a great opportunity right now. I think Airbnb is like the term that everyone has been hearing over the last 2 years. And every TikTok influencer guru out there has been pitching the Airbnb model and how you can make so much money and all this stuff. And people are getting in on bad deals.
Yep. Do you arbitrage any?
So no, but
Neither
funny
do
that you mentioned that. I just got an opportunity, which is a lot more luxury rental in Joshua Tree. The guy, he ran out of money developing it. And he's just, I'm just going to long-term rental it. And I told him, I said, hey, I will long-term rental that property and I know how much money it can do. And I think if we invest in the furniture, I think I can make more money if the terms work itself out. I did just get an opportunity like that. However, I don't arbitrage normally. I either co-host or I own.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, I can't stand like the arbitrage people. You're gonna make $300,000 a month doing
Yeah.
arbitrage. I'm like, come on, man. It's just not. I don't know how you. I don't know. You could push me on this, but I haven't met anyone that's been successful in arbitrage, like really successful.
Do you know
And I
Sean
talked to a lot
Hudson?
of people. Who?
Airbnb automated. Sean.
Maybe.
Look him up on YouTube. It's
Okay.
Sean. I'm butchering his last name. Roskovich.
Okay.
Something like that. Look him up on YouTube. He's got 220,000 plus subscribers. He was at my conference and he does arbitrage and he does well. But I will say everyone's got their own strategy.
Yep.
I don't want to manage 200 plus units. I'm okay with having a few units that generate me high cash and I'm chilling.
Yep. I'm with you.
And I love the ownership model, man. I love
Me too.
owning real estate and I'm in for the long game. But some people just think that's not true and they pitch to arbitrage. But I will say, I think the reason why it appeals so much to people is because ownership is a lot harder. It's
Yes.
harder barrier of entry.
It's an easier sell too, but I think
Yes.
arbitrage is harder because you got to
Yeah.
convince so many people to rent your house from you. You know what's funny? I had a long-term rental that I just put up and a company reached out to me. They wanted to arbitrage it for me. And I said, yes. I said, if you give me more than what I could get as long-term rental, I'll do it. And I didn't think it was going to work. So I let them go. They priced everything out. They did all their measurements. And then they're like, it's a little tight. And I'm like, look, this is what I need. And I'm going to let you do it. I will let you do this. And then they backed out at the last second. They're like, nah, it's just too tight. I'm like, okay. See, I knew I was right. That's why it's not a short-term rental. It's too tight.
Yeah. And that just validated it. And if they were to go on that deal, that would have been a horrible deal.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So with that, arbitrage is just easy. Anybody,
right. It's just so they sell it as easy, but getting them is easy. It's keeping them up and running and doing it correctly. That's the hard part.
I think it is, Jason. I think, and I've mentioned this before, I really do think people think too small. 100%. If you took the same effort calling up all those owners and getting rejected and doing all that stuff, and instead did luxury rentals and try to get a creative finance deal, and it brought an investor in.
Yep. I'm with you. I know.
Like, you do a big look. If I had no money and I wanted to get into luxury real estate, what you're doing, I would go into these markets. I would call up all the owners. Easier said than done, obviously, but eventually the same thing you're doing with arbitrage, right?
Yeah.
And you're calling these people up, learn creative finance, go online, on YouTube, whatever, and start negotiating these kind of deals. And once you've locked something down, bring an investor in.
Yep. You nailed it. And that's what I do. Yeah, the creative finance stuff is awesome. I think it's going to be used probably, I would say, in a 50% more. We're going to see probably 50% of owner will carries. And I've already seen it in our market. If you just type in MLS owner will carries, it's tripled in the past like 3 months because people are realizing they can't sell for what they want, but they could lock in the price now and finance it to somebody and get that money later on.
Yeah. And I love the option to sell creative financing deal where I can just sell it at any, or option to buy.
Okay.
And being able to buy it at any point.
Yep.
And the market's up because we know real estate's cyclical and some people are just very short-sighted and you can get some really good deals that way. So I agree.
I just did one in Kansas City. I did a lease option. And it worked out. The numbers worked, and the guy was cool. He couldn't sell his house. He had a tax issue. I was like, let's lease option this thing. He's like, okay. So I gave him a little money down and have my rental payment to him. And if I have the same thing you just said, if I get a good interest rate, this is over. But if it's not, we're continuing.
It's funny because people will be so fixated on the price, but sometimes the terms make the deal. More so than the price. And people don't realize that.
Yeah, what I do is I always offer 10% down. This is owner will carry 10% down, 5% for 5 years. And I'll engineer it from that. They're like, oh, it's not enough high enough price. I'm like, oh, I'll give you a higher interest rate and then do it backwards.
Oh yeah. So you get the
Yeah, get the
two
pendulum
others.
swinging, right? And that's what
Got
I'm
it.
doing. So I'll talk about this deal quick. This house in Tampa Bay is $800,000 and they can't sell it for 800. It's only worth about 750. And the guy told me to go F myself. And then I just sat down with him. I'm like, look, if you sell this for 730, which is realistic, and I'm like, then you have to pay your 50,000, 50,000 in commissions and whatever. You're only walking away with 675, 685. And you should have, I heard him on the phone. He's like, wow. And I'm like, I'll give you the 800. Like, I'll
Yeah.
give it to you. I'll give it to you, but you're not going to get it for another 5 years. And he's okay. And it's like the guy's smart, wheels are spinning, and this makes sense. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense for you and it makes sense for me. That's why it's a win-win.
That is awesome. And that honestly, what you explained right there is how people should approach these deals, is literally explain it to them. Because some people just don't know. And you
Right.
just walk them through the process of how much are you really netting at the end of the day with at a lower price, with the real estate commission and all the transfer fees and all that kind of stuff, all the closing costs. At the end of the day, it makes more sense doing this.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
If anybody's listening to this and they need help structuring, I'm pretty good at it now. So I'm happy to help. I'm happy to partner with people, but
Dang, I might have to hit you up, man. Now I'm
Yeah.
like, think my wheels are turning. I'm doing creative, like structuring of deals right now, but I haven't thought of it at a level with like mansions and whatnot, because I just assume that,
those are going to be the ones that are going to be available.
right.
I won't buy a house using a loan in my name anymore. I will not do it. I'm just creative financing like all the way now, or I'll use an investor's love DSCR loans. I do
Oh, yeah.
those, but there's a house that I want to buy for myself and I just keep pitching it to the agent. I keep pitching it to the seller and he keeps telling me no. And then I wait 30 days and I hammer him again. And I think eventually they're going to cave because they can't sell the house. So they just keep paying. They're just going to keep paying. They don't want to be there anymore. I know you don't want to be there anymore
Yeah.
because you're selling it. The house is on
And
the market. You
the
want to
fun-
be
the
gone.
funny thing is, I love when people say no, and you're just like, all right, fine, no worries. I'm not pressured to buy.
Right,
You're
right.
in power right now. It's
Yes.
awesome. It's awesome feeling. And let them just sit and marinate that pain.
Yep.
That pain of having to make that next payment and feeling that, oh, it's not selling it. And guess who's going to get a phone call?
Yep. And dude, I'm telling you, man, the creative if you don't know how to do creative financing stuff, you're way behind. And Pace's free group and all the content he puts out, it's awesome. That's how I learned how to do it.
Nice. And you learn from Pace.
You know what? I didn't learn from him, but I think his education I really do. I think he's an awesome guy. I know a lot of students. The community he built is amazing. I just think he does it the right way. He's not a scammy, salesy dude. And so I learned how to do it because I was in a situation where I bought one kind of indirectly. I was an agent. I went to his house. It was foreclosing that day or the day after. And I'm like, dude, we have to fix this or you're going to lose your entire house. And he didn't the seller didn't understand the nature of how fast this was happening. He thought he had a lot of time and he really didn't. And he kept getting the notices and ignoring them. And I'm like, we need to deed this into my name today or else you're going to get zero. And so that's how I learned how to do it.
That is awesome. You just learned from the hard school of Knox.
Yeah, just going out there and doing it once. And
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm showing agents how to do this that have been in this business for 10, 15 years longer than me. And they have no clue how to do it, what it is, what I'm talking about. But I'm like, you guys gotta that's what I'm doing now. I'm just teaching them like, look, this is how you do it. This is the right thing to do. And in return, I'm getting more opportunities to me.
Yeah. Oh, that's a win-win. And that's another thing. That's a big opportunity for investors. They just assume agents know everything about investing, and that's so far from the truth.
So I know a lot of agents don't even own their own home.
Yeah.
So it's like that. It's a really cool thing. Like I just did a presentation. It was about 50 realtors, and first question I always is, how many of you own rental property? It's very low. 5% of the room raises their hand. I'm like, you guys got to think outside this little box of just selling real estate. That's only on your mind, is selling real estate. And I'm like, if you guys get a good opportunity, why don't you buy it? Why are you giving it to client A? What is client A doing for you? Don't set yourself up and your family up for long-term success with buying these things.
Yeah. And same goes for people in the loan business, right?
Yeah.
Like automatically assume that because they know, it's funny because they understand the power of leverage and debt,
Right.
but then they
Better than
really
anyone.
don't. It's like they don't practice it, but
Yeah.
they see it every day in front of their eyes. It's in front of their eyes, the power of debt and being able to leverage it and do all, and they don't even touch it. It blows my mind.
And it's crazy.
Yeah. And so people that wanted to get more into creative finance, you mentioned that Pace Morby is really good. Can you maybe explain a deal where you did a creative finance deal, how you structured it, maybe walk through an example for people listening?
Sure. So I just did, it's funny. I taught my 21-year-old next door neighbor, Nick, comes out to visit me and he's like, Jay, I want to go to this conference. It was the Clever Investors Conference here in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and I give him credit. He got his butt up every day and he went for the 4 days. And he's like, I think I have a good understanding. And I'm like, look, if you just go in Facebook groups and just start networking with wholesalers, deals will come in front of you. And so he found one. So he found two actually in the first 2 months he did this. The first one was a subject to deal in Gulf. The person was $8,000 behind and the wholesaler wanted $3,000 or $4,000. And so we took over the person's mortgage. There was $100,000 equity in the house. And our payment is around $1,200-1,300 and we long-term rental it for $2,300. And so we make $1,000 cash. Well, we already made our money back on it. Our initial investment of $9,000 total. And the house has a lot of equity in it and it's free. I forgot about that house. It's just the money keeps coming in every single month. And the second good one he found was a seller finance deal. He found a property that was an Airbnb and it was listed for $250, wasn't selling, fully furnished. And what we did was we gave the guy $300,000, but he financed it to us at 5% for 30 years. And so our mortgage is $1,500 a month.
What was the down?
We put 20 grand down.
20 grand. Okay.
Yeah. We put 20 grand down and we bring in about $3,500 a month in that house.
Wow. So when are you going to get your cash back? 20 grand.
So we've already made half of it in 6 months. So I was trying to get my cash back within 12 months and that will happen on this one. But he financed it for 30 years. So we're good.
So get this, that property, not only are you, that's 100% cash on cash. If you get
it's more.
Money. That's insane.
Yeah.
100% cash on cash. And on top of that, you get appreciating asset over long run.
Yep.
And you have tax benefits.
Correct.
And you have all this stuff. And it's not even in your own name. You don't even need to have any sort of credit score.
Nope.
It doesn't matter.
No, I'm obsessed with buying properties without using loans. That's what this
awesome.
is.
Yeah, I think that's what the takeaway should be. If anybody listen, this is the opportunity. So this is what we're trying to get at. And Jason has seen it. There's a lot of people with Airbnbs totally over their heads, got into these deals, horrible deals. They don't know what they're doing. They listen to some TikTok guru. This is your opportunity to save them.
Yes.
And make yourself some money. Oh, this is what it's all about. And so I do want to wrap things up. I do ask people 3 questions to end, and I want to just run them with you. And first one, what's your favorite book that you've ever read?
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be real estate related.
All right. My favorite book, it's not an educational book, but it's called Street Justice by Chuck Zito. Do you know who Chuck Zito is?
No.
Okay. He was the president of the Hells Angels, like the biker club in New York. He's known as one of the toughest New Yorkers of all time. And his story was incredible of the crazy stuff and how he got into Hollywood. But that's my favorite book.
That's awesome. But what about that book made you imprint on you?
This guy is just, his life is crazy. Just being in the biker world and how he translated to Hollywood. And he became probably the biggest A-list star bouncer per se. Wow. He's a fighter. And it was just a unique, really cool book. I'm obsessed with this guy. I think he's insane, the way his life went. But that's my favorite book. Yeah.
There's something interesting about somebody living in chaos and doing super well in it.
Yeah, yeah. He's like a real like Tony Soprano
Oh, I
type
love
thing.
that.
And grew up on the streets and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah,
take no shit from nobody, doing it your way. But
I love
I
that.
think it was more of like, how can an adult be in charge of like thousands of other adults that will die for this gang or whatever? I won't call it a gang, but their club or whatever it is that they partook in.
That's insane. Jason, are you going to be creating your own?
No, but you should read the book. It's good.
That's awesome. And so, what advice would you give to people listening?
The best advice is just, you got to get in the pool to swim. I say that all the time. Like, I see so many people, they watch the videos, and I always tell people, go get your real estate license. That's like the first step. Go get your real estate license. That's the best thing that you can do to get involved in the business.
Awesome. So just get started.
Yeah, just get started.
Stop listening right now. I don't care. Go and get started.
Just go get your real estate license. I think that's the biggest step one. Like, that'll get you in the door. At least you're learning how, and it's such a weapon to have anyway, but you can learn a lot about the business through that.
Perfect. And we touched on this a little bit, Jason, but I do want to dive a little bit more. What's the future look like for you? What do you
I think I'm going to do a lot more education and content this year. I enjoy doing it. I created a course of how to do short-term rentals here in Las Vegas and Henderson. And I was really focusing on that niche, but it exploded into all across the country. People are reaching out to me, asking me for their help. And so that's what I'm really focusing on. You can check it out at winwithairbnb.com. And if you have a place that maybe isn't performing or you're going to buy one, I would love to help you.
Perfect. Yeah. And Jason, for the people that, want to get in contact with you, how can they get in contact with you?
Instagram. I'm a big Instagram guy at J Griggs Real Estate. Shoot me a DM. Let's chat.